or anybody take that away from you.
Mhm.
No racist, no sexist, no liar, no thief,
Mhm.
no corrupt politician, no abusive neighbors, no mean bosses on the job. Don't let nobody
Yeah.
take your joy away. It is God's gift to you.
Mm.
It's given to everyone that believes. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Can y'all hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Somebody talk back to me. All right. What y'all think about that?
I was gonna say, I mean, what you're saying is true.
Somebody needs to mute. Go ahead, Marie.
I was gonna say what you're saying is very powerful and needed during this time, and it just got me to thinking, you know, as you were talking, that joy is really a birthright African American.
Yeah.
Think about, you know, how the many circumstances throughout history we've been through, and we were able to have a joy. And I remember there's a video that's called "Who Speaks of Birmingham," and it was made during the Civil Rights Movement. And there was this white aristocratic woman, and she said, "There's just a joyousness about the Negroes. Wow. They'll just spontaneously burst into song." Now I don't know her motive behind saying that, but there was a joy that we were able to tap into because we had such a hope in our God, and that our circumstances were temporal and not going to be long lasting, and it's a birthright.
Yeah.
Mm. And now let me ask. That makes me want to ask a question. What has happened to us as a people? Because our ancestors, our forefathers, if we're just going to be honest about it, they endured much worse.
Yeah.
Than what we're encountering right now. What is different about us when we start talking about our experiences? What's different? Why are we responding to this present circumstance in ways that don't express joy? Kind of that joy as protest, that stubborn kind of hopefulness. What is it? What's difference? What's the difference? What has happened to so many of our brothers and sisters?
I think we've forgotten and fallen into despair.
We've forgotten and fallen into despair.
Yeah, and lost hope.
And how did that happen, Antonio?
By not remembering what God has said and remembering who God is, remembering what He has done.
God, y'all, this is uncomfortable to talk about.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable to talk about.
I think the son said it perfectly, that it is a birthright.
Mm-hmm.
Joy is a birthright, but to those who have been born again. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is engraved in our DNA.
It's a gift.
As a result of being born again.
Mm.
And we forget that we have been born again and we are seated with Christ. Mm. And he has, as he said in Luke 4, he came to set the oppressors free. Mm. We've forgotten all of this and what he has done, and we don't see any hope.
So what you're getting at, and I didn't intend for the lesson to take this turn, but it's important for us to talk about this, you all. It would appear that a lot of our brothers and sisters have stopped believing God. We've abandoned the church. We've abandoned our faith. Either we got educated out of it or we earned our way out of it. economically, but we got too American.
Huh. That's true. That's
we,
very true.
We got some physical material blessings, and we forgot Big Mama's faith. And now we are in a crisis, and we're so given to despair. Even the movement that's going on, and the people are protesting, they're doing so without a moral, spiritual foundation. So it only leads to greater frustration and emptiness. We've lost our foundation. And if you think about it like this, y'all, in all honesty, track back Black folks in this country over the last 400 years. How did we make it? How did we make it?
That's what I was about to say. We've gotten so wrapped up in our stuff that we forgot about who brought us to where we are now. There was time, like, I just had a conversation with a lady today talking about Trump can't worry about eating. I said, I ain't worried about eating. I said, God, my God fed my mama 11 children up until the point that we didn't know someday, well, how are we going to eat? I'm not going to worry about Trump now because I'm not living. Trump don't keep me here. God does.
Amen.
We have got so wrapped up in our jobs and, stuff that we forgot where we got, how we got here. And it was only by the grace of God. We're where we are right now. Not under a bridge, we're in a house. Eating out of a refrigerator, not a garbage can.
Come on.
It was only because of the grace of God, not because we've been so good. But we have forgotten because he's letting us, we got an education now, we got to, we forgot, we become disconnected from the tree. The branch has become disconnected. We're on our own. We're like sheep, we scatter because we think we've made it.
Yeah.
Now let me make clear of this. When I say we've forgotten our foundation and our roots, I am not talking about, and y'all just pardon the way I say this, I'm not talking about white Jesus. I'm not talking about you stay in your place and just keep your head down and wait for somebody to pity you. No, I'm talking about the activist Jesus. I'm talking about the Jesus who was executed for political and religious crimes. I'm talking about the Jesus who wouldn't settle for the status quo. He was the first foot soldier, civil right, when he carried his own cross through the streets of Jerusalem up a hill called Calvary. Right? That's where we draw our strength from, right? And we've just abandoned that. Somebody got too smart to believe in God, or we've lost our spiritual moral foundations. And that's really truthfully all we had. That's all we had, because we didn't have money.
Yeah.
We didn't own the land that we lived on. We didn't have access or opportunity, but you had a few Black people who had an abiding faith in God. We started schools. We opened businesses. We protested against injustice, and changes came. No sooner than the changes came, we got sprinkled a few trinkets. Somebody told us we could have the American dream now, and we burned the bridge that brought us over.
Tell the truth.
We abandoned the very vehicle, so to the point that right now people make jokes about the Black church.
Oh, yeah.
The way we worship is ignorant. Our clergy is uneducated. It's primitive. So to the point that even some of our own folks have abandoned our church because they're doing it better over there.
Mercy.
Right? We've lost it. We've lost it. So many of us, I would even dare say millions of us, are just in despair right now. But there is a way forward. Antonio, what were you going to say?
I was about to, on the other side of the spectrum, we have looked around our surroundings, and a lot of us have said, God can't care. God don't love us. And so I got to do something. Just two polar opposite of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Either we've forgotten or we just live in despair because of what we see.
We're living in despair. Again, the joy that God gives is beyond circumstance. Right. And one of the things that we talked about previously on joy was that joy is really an expression of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us overlook, and I don't want anybody who might be listening to this to co-opt my words.
Okay.
Right. Some of us overlook the goodness of God in our own lives.
You're right. You're right.
We're so bound to pursue what white folks got. And I'm saying that in a broad way, in an American sense. Mm-hmm. We're so driven to get what everybody else has and do it like everybody does. Well, guess what? They got it all. And you go home, follow them home, they still ain't happy. Their children don't like them. They're not any more fulfilled. They got big houses that are empty, bereft of love, full of stuff. You clamoring after stuff that doesn't deliver what you think it will. Instead of recalling the goodness of God, the richness. Black folks, y'all, man, just listen to me. Mm-hmm. There is so much soul that God has deposited in us.
Come on.
So much creativity. We create and discard, and people pick it up and commoditize it. We've been innovating since we got here, creating out of scraps and nothingness.
You're right.
And running after somebody who, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
God has been good to us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to learn how to love that.
Yeah.
Love that and be grateful for it. So that when we look around and we see the calamity, we don't ever lose sight of how good God has been to us. Because y'all, again, we got 400-year track record. It's always been rough for us.
Well,
read back through your history. It didn't matter. Spanish flu, World War I, Depression, recession. Guess what? Black folks been playing the same old good time story all through it all.
Well,
right? It's always been tough for us. Most of us only live a generation away from poverty. Most of us. Mm-hmm. We still got folks, right? Let's not lose sight. Yeah, and I'm not saying that to like calm folk down. No, but I just say that we gotta reclaim our soul.
Yeah.
We gotta reclaim our soul. Stop believing the myth of an American dream. Stop chasing after the American dream. Stop chasing after respectability. And stop chasing after those trinkets. Wow. God has put wealth in you and riches in you. You are phenomenal and beautiful, fearfully and wonderfully made. Start mining the things that God has deposited in you and stop coveting cheap counterfeits. Clamoring after the stuff, you'll miss your joy, you'll lose your joy. Because this world you know that God is just, right? Can somebody give me a thumbs up? God is just. God is fair. God is just, right? He takes care of his own, don't he? Sure enough, he does. Even in crisis, he takes care of us, right? What you know is that God is just. God is faithful, right?
Touch God. Yeah.
This world out here is not. Why are you chasing after their prizes? Mm-hmm. You know it ain't fair. You know if they give you something, it's going to come with a string attached. You know if you go out there and work for it, it's going to come with fine print. It's going to wear out. It's going to rot. It's going to rust. It's going to turn to dust. It's going to let you down. It's not going to deliver what is promised. Let's stop investing ourselves in that corrupt and wicked system that never delivers what it promised.
My God.
Let's live by another standard.
Yeah.
Now, I know we got to function in this, But brothers and sisters, don't give your heart to this. Don't love the world or the things of the world.
Mm.
You can't love God and love all of that stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
We, at some point in time, did just like Eve. At some point, we entertained the conversation about what the world can give. When we stopped looking at God, we stopped trusting God, and the joy dissipated because we wanted the control and the power for ourselves. It's too hard to follow God. The treasures of this world is immediate. If it's in my hand, I'm happier. I can get it faster. It's fast food. It's microwave. It's on my phone. It's real quick. And I don't want to follow God because I don't like waiting. And it's hard to trust somebody and like them at the same time.
And you can't see them.
So we started listening to the wrong, like y'all said, we started listening to the wrong voice.
We let somebody else sell us another narrative. We abandon our communities. In some senses, we abandon our identity. We abandon our families. We abandon our institutions in pursuit of something that somebody told us was better.
Mm-hmm.
And we ain't been happy since.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why folks older than me are always talking about the good old days.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I ain't talking about making America great. I'm talking about Black folks talking about a time when Black folks looked out for each other.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where Black folks owned businesses and took care of their own communities, guarded their churches when folks was trying to blow them up.
Yeah.
Something has happened to us. It's corrupted us. We became more American and less Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem. Maybe it's time for us to turn around. Because when you start following anything other than God, seeking anything other than Jesus, your joy is soon to follow. You'll find yourself in despair.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I didn't intend for this to go this way. My goodness.
Right.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love and joy. When our hearts are consumed by the grace of God, even during hardships and trials, and y'all, we got history as our record, there is a joy that persists. Do y'all agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
When our hearts are full with the grace of God, when our hearts have been captured by the love of God, even in the face of adversity and affliction, there is a joy that endures. One of the most haunting sermons I ever heard was when MLK was preaching in Memphis during the trash workers strike, the sanitation workers strike. His voice rises at the end of that message with such passion and joy. I know he had to see Jesus because the next day he was going to be assassinated. And some of y'all know the speech I'm talking about. He said, I've been to the mountaintop. He said, I've seen the promised land. I might not get there with you, but one day, right, we'll all, right? There's something about that, there was a passion and a hopefulness in those words that is lacking in much of what's being declared today.
Yeah.
When our hearts have been captured by the love of God, even in the face of adversity and affliction, there's a joy that endures. When our hearts have been bathed in the light and the love of Christ, there is a melody that rings in our hearts beyond the dreariness of our days. Some of y'all know that song, I've had some good days.
Yeah.
I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days. I've had some sleepless nights. But when I look around,
yes, God.
And I think it over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days, and I won't complain. And I know that's asking a lot of us right now. And believe you me, Jesus can bear your tears. He can understand your sorrow. But y'all got to remember that there is a reality beyond what we can see.
Yes.
And the devil and all of his representatives want you to doubt that. Because when you doubt that, you give up. You give up fighting. You'll give up trying. You'll give in to hopelessness and despair. You'll find yourself settling for whatever they say you should have. Don't give in, brothers and sisters. Don't give in. Long after the services are over, the music has stopped, the presence of God, this gift, lingers with us. And the song in our hearts continues to play.
Oh, yes.
Beyond just the stirring of our affections. Y'all know what affections are. Affections, that is what makes you feel, right? Beyond our affections, the joy of the Lord is also effective. The joy of the Lord makes you feel, but the joy of the Lord also makes you do. Yeah. Again, like Nehemiah said, the joy of the Lord is your strength. It gives you the will, the ability to do and to continue on. Yeah. It makes you feel, but it makes you do. What does it make you do? It makes you stand up. Yeah. Some cases it makes you sit down. It makes you march. It makes you protest. It makes you sing while you're in a strange land. Makes you resist and push back against the darkness that's all around us. It'll make you feel, but it makes you do. Does that make sense to y'all? Does that make sense to y'all? Let's try exercise. I need everybody to do this exercise with me. If you got some paper or something, get some paper so you can think about these things. Think about your life, your entire life. Think about the journey. Think about the tragedies and the triumphs. Think about your successes. Think about your failures. Think about your greatest challenge. Now, everybody who's on the call, I need you to raise your hand like you in class at school. If you're watching online, I need you to confess your resilience.
Lord have mercy.
I need you to say with me, I am still here.
I am still here.
I am still here.
Grace.
Through valleys, over mountains,
yes, God.
Across the waters, through trial, through sickness, through failures and brokenness. My entire life, up, down, sideways, backwards.
Still here.
I am still here. Somebody tell me how. How are you?
As the song would say, it's by the grace of God.
We are still here. And y'all, I know I've been sounding like Malcolm and Martin and Marcus all tonight, but I gotta say this to y'all. Let's survey our communal landscape. Some of everything has been done to try to run us off the planet.
Okay.
Four centuries of abuse. And guess what?
Still here.
Wow. Wow.
Still here.
In your right mind.
Still here. Dangers seen and unseen. An entire system set up to see you fail. And you're still here. How? How? It's the grace of God.
That's it.
Nothing short of it. Think about your greatest accomplishment, your greatest failure. Think about the wins and the losses. Think about your story. Consider your scars. The blessings you've encountered, the lessons that you have learned. Still here.
Mm-hmm.
Still here. If nothing else, you know from your own story that God is able. And that ain't no happy talk. That ain't no pie in the sky by and by. Your life, the fact that you are living and breathing right now in your right mind, not in a cemetery, not in a hospital, not in a prison cell, the fact that you are still here is evidence of a God who can do exceedingly and abundantly beyond all you could ask or think according to the power that he's deposited in you. Still here. Some of y'all have been abused and raped and lied on and cheated and mistreated and forgotten and passed over. And regardless of what everybody said and what they thought about you. Mm-hmm. Some of y'all bear the scars from your own families, folks who told you you wasn't going to be nothing.
Come on.
Some of you had a teacher that told you you ain't gonna be nothing. Mm-hmm. Put you in that other class because they told you you ain't gonna be nothing. And guess what?
My God. Yes, God.
Can I go ahead and tell y'all a little story? I started kindergarten in 1977, telling my age. And in the school district I was in southwestern Ohio, they forcibly bused us because them white folks up there were not integrating the schools. So I went from a school that was all black to a school where I was the only fly in the buttermilk. And by the time I made it to the 3rd grade in that school, my teacher, without my parents' consent, said I had a learning disability. That I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I needed to be separated. My mother taught me to read when I was 4 years old. Mm-hmm. I came home from school with my little folder of what I had been doing. I was coloring pictures all day long. She looked at that folder. She said, "What are you doing? What is this? Why are you coloring pictures all day?" And I didn't know what it meant. I said, my teacher said I was LD. I didn't know what the LD meant. And of course, my mom, like many of black moms are, she went to that school and threatened to do some things.